I exposed my stepsister for stealing my fiancé. Now her marriage is ruined, and my parents disowned me. So, I am 27 years old, and I got married just 2 weeks ago. The whole wedding was planned by me, down to the smallest details, and I got nothing but compliments from guests about how beautiful and perfect everything looked. It felt good to hear, but apparently, my stepsister, who is 26, could not stand it. She went around telling everyone that I stole my wedding ideas from her, which was just ridiculous. She has always been jealous of me, so this was nothing new, but it still pissed me off. Some of my relatives, who have a habit of running their mouths, started asking if there was any truth to what she was saying, which was infuriating. I put my heart into that wedding, and I sure as hell was not going to let her take credit for my work. The thing is, my stepsister has a long history of making up lies about me just to make herself look better, and honestly, I was beyond tired of it. Our mothers got married when we were both 16, and from the start, we could not stand each other. I really did try to be friendly in the beginning, but she was never interested in having a good relationship. Instead, she turned everything into a competition. She always had to be better, always had to be the one people liked more. Back in high school, she once spread a rumor that I was trying to steal her boyfriend after I got chosen for the cheerleading squad, and she did not. That little stunt of hers made my life hell for about a month, with most of the girls at school treating me like garbage except for a handful of friends who knew better. This is just who she is. Over the years, I let a lot of things slide, telling myself that reacting would only give her what she wanted. But this time? This time, I could not let it go. I had poured weeks into making my wedding perfect, and I was not about to let her swoop in and rewrite the story, making herself the victim. I know it was petty, but the second I heard she was telling people I stole her ideas, I picked up the phone and called her. I told her to knock it off because we both knew she was full of it. She just laughed, called me a sore loser, and hung up. That was it. I had enough. If she wanted to play dirty, I was ready to play too. So, I decided it was time to tell our family the truth about her husband, and about the way they both had stabbed me in the back. Let me give some context. Her husband, the guy she married, was actually my boyfriend when I was 23. At that time, I was still living with my parents and my stepsister while saving up to move out. I met my ex at work, and I fell for him hard. From the start, he insisted on keeping our relationship a secret. He would not let me tell my friends, and at the time, I thought maybe he was just private. Looking back, it was a massive red flag that I completely ignored. 2 months in, I decided to bring him home to meet my family. That is when my stepsister met him. I did not notice anything back then, but in hindsight, she was all over him, flirty, giggly, acting like some shy little thing. It never even crossed my mind that she would actually go after him. Turns out, while I was busy thinking we were building something real, those two were already sneaking around behind my back. I kept dating him, completely blind to what was really happening. Almost a year later, I was convinced he was the one. I loved him, so I decided to propose. Yeah, it is not the most traditional thing, but I did not care. I took him to a fancy restaurant, got everything set up, and when I finally asked him to marry me, he told me he needed time to think about it. Looking back, I wish he had just ended things right then. But instead, he dragged it out for 3 more months while secretly being with my stepsister. When he finally broke up with me, it was not just to say he did not want to be with me. No, he sat me down and told me he was in love with my stepsister. And if that was not enough, he also told me she was already 3 months pregnant. That meant that while I was still thinking we had a future together, he was sleeping with her behind my back. And because she was about to start showing, they decided to rush their wedding. I lost it. I confronted her, screamed at her, but our parents stepped in and shut it down. They did not want a scandal because my stepdad had a reputation to protect. They told me to keep my mouth shut and move on. At that time, I had no choice but to obey because I was still living under their roof. They had a tiny backyard wedding with only close friends and family. I did not go, obviously. Instead, I checked into some crappy motel and spent a whole week drinking and barely eating. A few weeks after their wedding, I finally moved out on my own. But mentally, I was a mess. I fell into a deep depression, quit my job, and just existed, sleeping, drinking, and feeling sorry for myself. The only person who stuck by me through all of this was my now husband. We had been friends since high school, but I never saw him as anything more because, to be honest, he was kind of the class clown. But while all my other friends moved on with their lives, he did not forget about me. He found out where I lived and just showed up one day. I was not exactly nice to him. I ignored him, pushed him away, but he did not leave. He stayed, checked in on me every day, and even covered my bills when I had no money left. I cannot even explain how much I owe this man. If it were not for him, I do not know where I would be today. Eventually, I told him everything. Every single detail about what had happened with my ex and my stepsister. He listened, let me vent, and never once made me feel stupid for falling for someone who had played me so badly. We never officially started dating. He just stayed, and over time, we became something more. To this day, we joke that he never even asked me out, it just happened. And now, after all these years, I finally decided it was time to stop pretending. My family needed to know the truth. I told my husband my plan to expose them, and he was completely on board. He said I had every right to finally speak up after everything they put me through. So, I did. A few days ago, I invited my entire family over to my house. I made sure to be extra sweet to my stepsister when I called her so that she would not suspect a thing. And, of course, she walked right into it. Once everyone was there, I started by addressing the nonsense she had been spreading about me stealing her wedding ideas. I reminded her that she never even had a proper wedding, hers was a rushed backyard ceremony because she got knocked up by my boyfriend. Some people laughed, some looked uncomfortable, but I did not stop. Then, I hit them with the truth. I told everyone that while she was busy accusing me of stealing wedding ideas, maybe we should talk about how she stole my fiancé. You could have heard a pin drop. The color drained from my ex's face, and my stepsister looked like she had been slapped. Some guests were shocked, others were eating up every second of it. When I finished telling my side of the story, my stepsister jumped up and ran out, with her husband chasing after her. Slowly, everyone else left. The last ones there were my parents, who looked furious. And instead of asking if I was okay, they actually demanded that I apologize to my stepsister for humiliating her. I told them there was no way in hell that was happening. My husband backed me up and told them they had no right to demand an apology when they never once told my stepsister to apologize for what she did to me. They got mad, we argued, and I finally told them to get out of my house. That was 4 days ago. I have not heard from them since. And honestly, I do not care. It has been 4 days now, and I have not spoken to a single one of them. Not my parents, not my stepsister, not a single person from that side of my so-called family. I do know, though, that the rest of them have stopped talking to her completely. She has been cut off, isolated, and for the first time in her life, nobody is rushing to take her side. She is miserable. And I mean, really miserable. The thing about my stepsister is, she thrives on attention. She needs people around her constantly, gossiping, laughing, making her feel like she is the center of the universe. So now that nobody is speaking to her, she is losing it. A few hours ago, my mother finally decided to text me. And you would think that after all of this, she would at least try to make things right, maybe ask how I am doing. Nope. She hit me with this, I hope you are happy now that you have ruined your stepsister's life. That is what you wanted all along, right? I am not going to lie. That one stung a little. Not because I feel bad for my stepsister, she got exactly what she deserved, but because my own mother refuses to see my side. Even after everything, she still takes her side over mine. I had this tiny hope, buried way down deep, that maybe this would be the moment she finally got it. That she would finally realize how much damage my stepsister has done to me. But no. She would rather paint me as the villain. And you know what? That sucks. It sucks to be the bad guy in your own mother's eyes. So now I am sitting here, wondering. Did I take it too far? Did I cross a line? Did I become just as bad as she always was to me? Am I the bad guy for exposing my stepsister in front of our entire family? Update 1. If there was any doubt about where my mother stood, she cleared it up real quick. She is furious with me. According to her, I did not just humiliate my stepsister, I destroyed her. I ruined her life. That is how she put it, and she is not letting me forget it. For days now, she has been texting me, telling me I need to fix this. She wants me to go back to the family and tell everyone that I made it all up. That I was just acting out of jealousy. That my stepsister did nothing wrong. Yeah. Not happening. She even told me that my stepsister and her husband are deeply hurt by what I did and are considering cutting me off. Which is hilarious, because we already do not talk. We have not spoken in years unless we were forced to be in the same room together. What are they going to do? Block me on Facebook? The only reason she even showed up at my wedding was because my mother made me invite her. Otherwise, I would have happily kept her out of my life. I do not know why my mother thinks I owe her or my stepsister anything. But at this point, I have decided I am done. No more arguing, no more responding. She can text me all she wants, I am not going to listen. At first, I was upset. I mean, it is one thing to be mad at your kid for causing drama, but to completely ignore what my stepsister did to me? To still defend her after all these years? That hurts. But honestly, I should have expected this. I told my husband about what was going on, and he gave me the best advice: ignore it. Just let them go. And that is exactly what I am going to do. I am done with them. Update 2. 2 days later, I finally did something I probably should have done a long time ago. I blocked every single one of them. And damn, did that feel good. I never realized how much I was carrying until I cut them off completely. I feel lighter, like I can finally breathe. For so long, my mother guilt-tripped me into pretending things were fine. She forced me to act like my stepsister and I were close, just so people would not judge her for failing as a parent. But let's be real. She did fail. She let my stepsister get away with everything. She let her tear me down, lie about me, take things from me, and never once held her accountable. And I was the one who had to suffer for it. Well, not anymore. I blocked them all. Every single one. And I figured that would be the end of it. But last night, my mother showed up at my house. She walked in, looking all disappointed, like I had personally broken her heart. She did not say a word for almost 5 minutes. Just sat there, staring at me. And then she finally started talking. She told me I had damaged the family. That what I did had negatively impacted everyone. I did not even let her finish. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, there is no family. Not for me. Because that is the truth. When she married my stepdad, everything changed. She chose them over me. She forgave everything my stepsister did, while holding me to a completely different standard. And now she wants to act like I am the one who destroyed the family? No. That is on her. I told her exactly how much she hurt me over the years. How unfair it was. How exhausted I am from constantly being treated like I do not matter. I told her I was done pretending. I was not going to apologize. I was not going to back down. She tried to explain herself, saying that the reason she distanced herself from me after her divorce was because I reminded her too much of my dad. And honestly, that made me even angrier. Like, what did she expect? He was my father. Of course I reminded her of him. That is not an excuse to treat me like I am nothing. I told her I could try to understand her side, but that I would never forgive her for what she did to me. And no matter what, I was not apologizing to my stepsister. She left looking miserable. Like she had finally realized she lost me. And you know what? That could not be helped. That was yesterday. I unblocked her, but she has not called or texted. And honestly, I do not care if she ever does. Update 3. It has been a full week since I last saw my mother. She has not reached out. No apology, no phone call. Nothing. And honestly, that is fine. I have accepted that she prefers my stepsister. I have accepted that nothing I do will ever change that. But my stepsister? Oh, she is not done yet. She is now running around telling everyone that her husband only cheated on me because I was a crazy, manipulative psycho and he found her company calmer. She is also telling people that I forced him to stay with me. That every time he tried to break up, I emotionally blackmailed him into staying. And somehow, she is actually convincing people. Some of my relatives are now torn, unsure of who to believe. Because my stepsister? She is a damn good liar. Luckily, I have a cousin who has been keeping me updated on everything. And honestly, I am over it. If she wants to drag me through the mud, fine. But I am not going to let her get away with it. She wants war? I will give her war. She went low, but I can go lower. I have receipts. I have texts. And if she wants to rewrite history, I will make sure everyone, including her friends and co-workers, knows the real story. It will not be pretty. And I do not feel bad about it at all. Turns out, my stepsister is even worse than I thought. The more people I talk to, the more dirt I uncover. She is not just a liar, she is a full-blown manipulator. She flirts with guys, gossips about everyone behind their backs, and then plays the victim when things do not go her way. It is almost impressive how she has kept up this act for so long. She is furious that I put everything out there. I guess she never thought I would actually stand up for myself. Now she is scrambling, making fake accounts to harass me, trying to get me to take the post down. But the thing is, I am not scared of her anymore. I know she is also reporting my post, hoping it will get deleted. Maybe it will, maybe it will not. But one thing is for sure, I will not be the one taking it down. And then there is my mother. She has made it very clear that I have disappointed her. She said she expected me to handle things like an adult, and instead, I acted like a fool. Yeah, because letting someone walk all over you for years and staying silent is the mature thing to do, right? She also let me know that my stepfather is pissed because my actions are apparently damaging his precious reputation. His solution? He wants me to publicly apologize and delete my posts. And if I refuse? They are cutting me off for good. Oh, and as an extra threat, they said my entire inheritance will go to my stepsister instead. I had to laugh at that one. Do they really think that is supposed to scare me? I was the one who blocked them first. I have already made my peace with not having them in my life. Would it hurt a little to be fully disowned by my mother? Yeah, sure. But let's be real, I have known for years that she does not love me the way she loves my stepsister. That is nothing new. As for the money? My husband and I do just fine. I do not need their inheritance. Besides, my real father left me more than enough when he passed. So if they think dangling money over my head is going to make me beg for forgiveness, they have lost their damn minds. Honestly? I do not care anymore. Update 5. So, remember how I thought cutting them off would be the end of it? Yeah, I was wrong. That one post I made blew up my whole family. It has only been 2 days, and my parents have officially disowned me. When my mom realized I was not backing down, she tried to make one last push to guilt-trip me. She told me I was destroying our relationship over revenge and that it was not worth it. I told her, what relationship? Because let's be real, we have not had one in years. So if losing what little connection we had left meant getting back at the person who made my life hell, then yeah, I was okay with that trade. That argument ended with her blocking me everywhere. Just like I did to her first. And you know what? It stung for about 5 seconds. Then I realized. I feel free. But here is where it gets crazy. Yesterday, I got a message from a cousin saying my stepsister's marriage is over. I had to read it twice. Apparently, after my post went viral in our family, One of her coworkers saw it, and this guy just happened to be one of the men she had been flirting with at work. Well, he decided to do the right thing and sent screenshots of their conversations to her husband. And let me tell you, her husband did not take it well. They had a massive fight, and now, he is divorcing her and filing for full custody of their kid. I mean, I feel bad for the kid, but honestly, I cannot even pretend to feel bad for her. She did this to herself. And from what I hear, the fallout is not even over. Since the whole family has turned against her, she moved back in with my parents because she is getting dragged at work too. People found out about her history of lying and backstabbing, and now, she is probably going to lose her job. I am so relieved that I do not have to deal with her nonsense anymore. And just to make sure I put all this behind me, my husband and I made a decision. We are leaving for our honeymoon this week. We booked a long-ass trip through Europe, and I am so excited to get out of here and just live my damn life. For the next few weeks, I am not going to think about my family. I am not going to think about my stepsister. I am going to enjoy my life with the man who actually loves me. And when I come back, I am going to be lighter, freer, and happier. Honestly, I already feel like a weight has been lifted.